This program comes to you compliments of the Tobago Inspirational Network. To support this and other programs, we encourage you to give to TIN. Contributions can be made at any First Citizens Bank at account number 203-4679. We thank you for your support.
Hi, good day once again, and I'm Michael Stewart, and this is Transforming Lives Continually. Always happy to be here with you to be able to give you something else that you could be able to take your life to the next level. What we really try to do is to transform lives, so we try to make things as simple but not simplistic. And we hope that the lessons we have been doing so far have been gratifying and edifying to you. The last time I was here, I spoke to you on the whole aspect of getting into relationships. And we spoke about a 5-step program that will give you a better assurance of getting into a lasting relationship. Remember, a lot of people get into relationships and it is like a revolving door. They go in, they come out. They start a new relationship, they go in, they come out. And before they know it, they've had a number of relationships broken in their wake that does not do any good to them. In fact, it messes your life up because you keep going into new relationships with more issues from your past relationships. So if you get it right, you don't have a major problem. And just a quick recap, what we said is if you have this 5-step program, then it is going to help you to reduce your chances of getting into broken relationships. So be with me now. Number 1, we said, make somebody an acquaintance. An acquaintance is just somebody that you are familiar with but is not a close friend. It's somebody that you know but you really don't know. It's somebody that you can borrow from but you won't lend. Hello? Because they are just an acquaintance. And when you are in an acquaintance relationship, you are not in an intimate relationship. You're not in a boyfriend-girlfriend thing. But you use that time to observe the person. And when you observe the person, you look back and you tell yourself, this person either lines up or does not line up with my philosophy, my values, my spirituality. But you have lost nothing if the person doesn't line up because they were just an acquaintance, just somebody you knew by the way. They don't have your cell phone, they don't call you at 10 o'clock in the night and all of that people rush into too early in the relationship. So if, however, you have observed the person and you recognize that this person qualifies to be able to move to the next level, you've observed them, you watch them, you like how they move, and then you now take them to the next level. Every step you keep observing. You investigate before you invest. So you take them into a public friend phase. This public friend is where you afford to go out in groups with your classmates, your work environment, your church group, and so on. But all the time you keep watching how they operate. You listen to their conversation. You listen how they deal with insults. You listen to how they deal and operate whenever they are angry, whenever they don't agree with other people. You watch how they operate as a team or lack thereof. And then you tell yourself, I don't like the way how this person behaves whenever somebody criticizes him. I don't like the way how he doesn't have control over his emotion. I don't like the way how she is a drama queen, how she responds whenever there is an issue, because it really does not fit with my own understanding. But you haven't really lost anybody because they can continue to be a public friend. You weren't in a relationship with the person, of say, a personal relationship. So they can continue as that public friend. You can still go out in groups. And that's the beauty about this thing. You really don't have broken relationships just because the person does not line up with your ideal lifetime partner. They can continue to be your friend. Yes? And so, if, however, that you watched it and you have recognized this person, I like the way how they have self-control. I like the way how they interact with people. I love to see their helpfulness. And they move on to the next phase, the phase of personal friend. This is me and you. We are in this thing and we are beginning to talk. Now we can get deeper with information, your family life, your relationship between you and your parents, your relationship between you and your brothers and sisters. It gives you a very good idea as to how these people think and operate in their private space, what sort of relationships they've had in their past. Are you now out of a recent relationship? Because all of this information, I have rights now as a personal friend to get this information. I did not have that as an acquaintance or as a public friend. I was just observing. But if we call ourselves friends, real close friends, but we are not in a relationship now, we are just close friends. These are the people that we can talk 10 o'clock in the night, 11 o'clock in the night, we WhatsApping and so on at this phase. Why? Because you know how many people get too close in relationship, the communication becomes so close early up in the relationship that it becomes overwhelming, and they want to back out now because the person calls them too often and all of that. Why? Because you fast track things. That's what we call it, driving faster than your headlights. Never drive faster than your headlights. Take your time in relationships. Nobody's going anywhere. Don't rush things, right? Anytime you rush things, you will get dabbed. So therefore, take your time. And I think that is the most significant. Time is your ally. It's not your enemy. Do not rush it. Even if you are becoming older and you think you are running out of your age, you're old enough to get into a relationship because you forget that you're getting too old. Still don't rush it. Because as the old people say, you make decisions in haste, you'll regret in leisure. So don't rush it. So you're in this personal relationship, and in this personal relationship, you recognize that the person is messed up. The person has too many issues in their life. The person has too much hate and grudge and unforgiveness that from past relationships. And you tell yourself, no, too much issue. But you don't lose anybody because the person can still continue to be your close friend. You can still work with them and help them and so on because nothing is wrong with that. But if you find that in that personal phase, you like the history, you like the family life, you like the way how they think, you like the spiritual life, they believe in God, they have this connection with their Savior and so on, and it lines up with your value system, then you tell yourself, wow, what a wonderful thing. Then you can now take it to dating phase. Dating phase is that phase that you go out with the person, this is me and you, baby. There's no third party. So I should not find out that you're already in a relationship with somebody else or just came out of a relationship with somebody else, because we are now dating. We are talking marriage here. What we are doing now is planning our lives for very long term. Do not date somebody just because you're trying to find out if they will make it to a lifetime. Date somebody because there's a high chance you will know that they will make it to a lifetime. And discuss future plans in dating phase. If they are not ready for that yet, then you are probably too far off in the relationship. How could you be in a relationship with somebody, call them your boyfriend or girlfriend, and you can't talk future plans of what you all have to do together, and the person saying, I ain't ready for that yet, that is too much serious commitment and so on, then you are too far in the business. That should have been earlier in the stage when they were in the public friend or acquaintance friends and so on, for them to be talking that kind of nonsense. When you are in dating phase, you are really getting set for the long-term relationship of marriage. And which brings us to today's session. Marriage. Marriage is a one-way street, I tell you. There's no exit out of it. Christ's disciples asked him a question. Should a man divorce his wife for any reason? Christ said to him, in the beginning, it was not so. Because in the beginning, God made them male and female, and he went back to give them some history. And they said to him, then why is it, if you are saying so, why is it Moses allowed a bill of divorcement to a couple for any reason? And he says, well, Moses, because of the hardness of your heart, allowed it, but God never planned it that way. In fact, in another passage of scripture, he said God hates divorce. So he is telling them that except for fornication, that is Matthew chapter 19, which means the only grounds for divorce is if fornication took place. No other grounds. So once you get into a marriage, you are in it for life. When the disciples heard that, this is the striking statement they said. If that be the case, it is better that a man does not marry. Why? Because there's no way back out. And that is right. It's a one-way street. Except for fornication, you have to remain married. I think sometimes we take marriage a bit lightly, and I'm more hoping that today's session will be able to put some context into marriage. Marriage is not an easy thing, and there's no guarantee that a marriage will work and so on. But now you have such access to divorce that people are taking it, and there's a high divorce rate even among the Christian community that it is alarming. It is said that 5 out of 10 relationships going to fail. That's half. And I'm not talking about outside. I'm talking about even inside church and so on. There's a high failure rate. High failure rate. So how could we stem this? It's by understanding and helping people before they get into marriage. Do not get into marriage unadvisedly. But make sure you get good advice. The Bible says in the Old Testament that to make a good home, you need wisdom, understanding, and rooms are filled with good treasures when you have knowledge. And then the next verse, he went down and say, a man who goes to war with many counselors. He just came talking about a home, but yet now talking about war. Why? Because marriage is war zone. It's a fight. You've got to fight for what you have. You've got to fight for your marriage. You've got to fight to keep it. You've got to fight to maintain that lasting relationship. And early in the phase, you may not get it, but you will get the rewards of it years down the road. You can't be married 2-3 years and find happiness. Of course not. No, sir. Marriage takes a lot of time to germinate, blossom, and give you the results that you want. Why? The word marriage comes from the word gem, G-E-M. Gem is a precious stone. It's precious material that is made in the depths of the earth. And in order to get a gem, in order to get this great priceless thing that you and I can hardly purchase, and whenever we see it always in context where it is enclosed and protected. You can't just walk up in a jewelry store and just pull out gems and try it on. It is locked and they've got to open it and let it out to you. But the cheap jewelry, oh yes, the fake gold and the costume jewelry, you could just pass and look at them and so on. But real gems, they protect them. Why? Because of what went into making a gem. And a gem, we said, is the word they use for marriage. Here's what a gem is. A gem is made over 4 particular factors. Number 1, heat. The heat of the earth. Because if you put something buried in the earth deep enough, the earth is going to work up such heat. In fact, volcanoes are formed because of the heat of the earth. That's to tell you the amount of heat. And your marriage is going to be heated up. You'll go through some hot times. You'll go through some times in your marriage that you will wonder if you made the right decision. You'll go through some times in your marriage that you'll want to pull your hair out, that you want to reconsider, and in some cases even consider suicide. Just giving up on life and marriage. It's going to be a heatful time. It's not an easy thing. But the gem has got to go through the heat. But the gem can't just pick up and just leave the earth because it's not a gem yet. The heat is necessary for the forming of the gem. Your heating time in your relationships, and for those who are watching and say, listen, my marriage is going through such a heated time. We quarrel so often. We have so much issues and so on. Yes, learn the lessons. Learn how to adjust and regulate yourself because the gem is being formed. The gem is being made and so on. And you need to stay inside of that heat. You need to be inside of there and learn your lesson. If you don't learn it, even if you come back out of the relationship and get into another one, you start all over again. It's going to be a heated moment. So yes, you've got to have heat. The second thing that you're going to have in a relationship that is worth the gem is pressure. Because as the gem is being formed at the bottom of the earth and you have that heated element of the earth, the weight of the earth is fusing things together and pressing things together and bringing things into one. and so on, because marriage is supposed to be two becoming one. You don't pick up a gem and parts falling off of a gem. It's fused together. You almost start thinking alike. You almost start becoming one in your goals and your aspirations. So the pressure of life and the pressures that you go through is helping to be able to help you all to operate in the same space. Let me tell you, children look at the lack of fusing of their mother and father in order to be able to get away with some things that they want. So if a mother and father don't hold one head on how to discipline and train the child is going to use that lack of fusion in the oneness of thinking in order to separate you all, divide you all, and also to get away with what they want. So allow the fusion to take place, but that is the pressure. The pressure of the relationship is going to help you. So to form a gem, you need heat, pressure. You also need friction. Friction is the rubbing together and the back and forth as the earth moves against itself and so on. That is what creates the heat, by the way, that friction. Yeah? And we're going to have some friction time. We're going to fall out in this relationship. We're not going to be seeing eye to eye all the time. There's going to be friction. We'll argue, we'll quarrel and so on. Don't get discouraged with the quarreling. It's necessary as you're smoothing out that gem. Because if you didn't have that friction taking place, the gem would be rough. You see, so in order to create the gem, you need that friction to take place. And even if the gem itself doesn't get the friction, even as the jeweler handles the gem, he's going to give the gem friction. He's going to rub it and bring the shine out. So you can't get away from it. Marriage is not an easy thing. It's going to take friction. You're going to fall out so often. Don't get discouraged when you fall out. Don't get discouraged when the person does not agree with you. Don't get discouraged when the person says some things that hurt you and so on. Yes, that's part of it. But that's part of life. I'm not going to fool you and let you think that this is an easy, hunky-dory kind of situation. It's not mills and boom. It's not, and they lived happily ever after. It's not going to happen so. If you thought so, I'm terribly sorry. Heat, friction, pressure. Fourthly, time. The gem is never going to be made overnight. It takes years. It takes a lot of time. Time is your ally. There are some people, they just got to know the person and within weeks they are married. Oh, no. Don't make that mistake at all, please, because see me and come live with me, two different things. Who you meet, you only meet 15% of a person when you just encounter them. 85% of the real person, the real personality of the person is underwater. That's why we call it the iceberg personality, because the real person is underwater and it will only surface as you get to know them. So take time to know that person. Don't rush into it. Right? Let time. You know, there's a song that says, take time to know her. Oh, yes. A lot of people hide their true personality, but they could never hide it forever. It was Jim Mon who said that when it comes to hiding personality, no man can consistently act inconsistent to his thinking. Whatever is inside of here, it will come out if you give it time, because the person could never pretend forever. But you need to give them time to be able to. You know, that nice person that you saw and you thought was such a charming person may not always be that charming. Yeah? Because you assumed that this is the real person, but that was 15% of the person. Yeah? And when you really see them under pressure and under circumstances that they are unhappy, you wonder, wow, is this the same person? Is this the same loving person? Don't get carried away with the gifts. Don't get carried away with the fact that they remembered your birthday and your anniversary when you all first met. And don't get carried away with their romanticism and all of that. Remember, give it time and just watch it from afar off. Yes? Heat, pressure, friction, time. That's why they call it a gem. Because when you get into the relationship, when you are in the marriage, that marriage is for life. This is why the Bible, when God said he hates divorce, the original word for divorce is the word defect. Defect. Defect, if you are in the army and you are fighting in the army and you are fighting for your country, and during the heat of the fight, a soldier withdraws and leaves his fellow soldiers in the heat of the battle, endangered and at risk, while you pull out to go back home to see about other things. You have defected because you have left off the very purpose you got into the relationship or into the army for. It's called defect. And that punishment is often disastrous. Some people want to give you before the firing squad. Death might be the punishment they want to give to somebody who defects. And sometimes when some people even leave and join the other side, join the enemy, you can't defect. And that's why God said he hates divorce, because you're supposed to stick it out inside of there. You're supposed to stay there and be inside of that battle, because that's when you need, your family needs the support, is when the battle is hot. And so when somebody says, listen, I'm tired, I'm fed up, I'm going, I'm leaving this relationship, they have defected. And once they defect, it's a whole new ball game that God says, I don't subscribe to. Now, when a soldier signs up for war, he technically is signing up for death, not for life. Because a soldier knows he is fighting to the death. So it is expected more that he may die than he may live. So it's a very serious thing when you sign up for the army, when you sign up to protect your country, when you sign up for the protective services. You are really signing up for death. So if during the time when your life is at stake, that you need to be able to lay your life down for your country, that you say that you're going back home to drop children to school because they left something in the oven. No, the Bible says no man goes to war and entangles himself with the affairs of this world. Why? Because you are in war. And that's why the Bible says that no man goes to war, when he was talking about marriage and relationships and home. No man goes to war without good advisors. Because it is a war that we are in, and we can't therefore withdraw from the war to deal with other things, the frivolities of life. You've got to stick it out there. And if you're not prepared to stick it out with your family, through thick and thin, for rich, for poor, for better, for worse, then you are not to get married. You are not a good candidate to get married. You can't get in there saying, rich, not poor, better, not worse, because you're inside of it. For both of them. And sometimes we hear people who are in relationships and the person loses their job who they are married to. They can no longer live to the level and financial standard that they used to. And bam, marriage breaks up. Why? Because of money. Because they got married for rich, not poor. And when things are good, relationship is good. But when things are bad, relationship is bad. No, you are in it for better or for worse. Yeah. And in sickness, even if the person has a stroke, the person has a terminal illness, you are in it for life. In sickness and in health. Whether the person is doing well or not. And we heard of so many people who, when the person, their spouse, get ill, they abandon them. It cannot be so. And so that's why God took marriage so seriously. We wouldn't be able to finish the entire program on this one because we have so much to cover as far as marriage is concerned. So the next time that you hear from me, the chances are we're going to talk about marriage being a covenant, not a contract. The covenant relationship in marriage, because God does it as a covenant, and a covenant is a serious, serious thing. Right, so I really hope that you are able to glean something from today's program and was able to help you somewhat. We really want to reduce the number of broken relationships and divorce that's taking place in the church and out of the church. And let's start having happy homes and wonderful marriages. I want to tell you and invite you to call me anytime. My office number is 635-1801. We're located on the Stumpies bypass, just down at Stumpies in Canaan, the road that runs alongside Stumpies. It is opposite Aliscon. We do private counseling. We do marital counseling. We make sure that we do marriage counseling before we ever commit a marriage. We are not going to do a marriage without marriage counseling because it is such a serious thing. And even if you are in a relationship and your marriage and your relationship is going good, get good counsel to maintain it. Do maintenance of your relationships. Even if you are single, before you get into a relationship, try to get the kind of advice that you need. You see, because most people, after they set their date, they now come for marital counseling, when sometimes it's too late because they've already sent out invitations to the wedding and so on. Don't do that. Get good advice way in advance. And we have some workshops that we run from time to time. But certainly that private counseling session, you can call 635-1801. I'm Michael Stewart. It was a pleasure being with you. And look forward for the next session when we talk about covenant relationships, not contract. See you then on TLC on TIN.